You're welcome to Business Daily on Trust TV. My name is Chamun Dabeng. Let's talk numbers. We're starting off with the market this morning. You're welcome back, and once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. All right, so after 7 years and barely 17 more months to go in office, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, has finally appointed a chief economic advisor. And the person filling that position is none other than Dr. Doyin Salami, who is also the current chairman of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council. Now, in the last 6 years, the economy has struggled. Now, let's take a look at Nigeria's GDP from 2012 down to 2020. As you can see, in 2016 and 2020, the country experienced a recession, dropping to 1.6 and 1.9% respectively. The 2021 full-year growth rate is yet to be published, but is currently running at an average of 3% using data from the first 3 quarters. So, of course, this is not figures that we're going to be racing off to the mountains to celebrate for. Now, the country has witnessed a high debt profile, double-digit inflation, troubled naira, and the question on many Nigerians' lips is, why now? Joining me, to discuss Dr. Doyin Salami's new appointment is public affairs analyst Agaba Wilson Agaba and business developer John Bosco Ezenwa. You're both welcome to the show. Now, what are your thoughts? Many Nigerians have basically come to social media to talk about this, and so many of them are asking the same question: why now? Why wait until after 7 years, when you have barely a year and 6 months to basically be out of office, that you now decide to, hire somebody, or appoint someone for such a vital position? Why do you think that he waited this long to do this?
Okay, well, from what you read and what we all know, he was the chairman of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council. And I think it's just a change of nomenclature, because the Presidential Economic Advisory Council were saddled with the same responsibility he's just been saddled with. I think in that council too, we had the current governor-elect of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, who was also part of it, and all of that. So I think, I don't know why there is a need for the change of nomenclature. Maybe probably some structure. I would like to take a look at the nitty-gritties, which is not yet in the public domain. Maybe that is when we can tell the difference. Otherwise, I would just say this is a change of nomenclature.
Well, interestingly, I think the president realizes that it was time for an advisor. Remember, the committee has been there for some time, for some year. So looking at the work they have done, this is the place for innovation, because, in that committee, we have persons who have been advising previous administrations as well. So looking at this and looking at the growth that has come from all of the experiences built, so the president felt it was time. But most interestingly, having watched one of his interviews recently, I think there was something the current advisor said that struck the president. It was about the gap in the economy, better still linked to the agricultural sector, given that the president mentioned that on one of the sessions with the Economic Advisory Council team members, they realized that 2.5% of arable land was just in use in Nigeria. So the president saw the gap. So the president realized that, if we have more of Nigerian youth in this space and real businesses built around this, if 2.5% of the arable land is in use for agri currently, we could do more. And so I think that's smart move from from the advisor, better still got the president interested in what else will come up from that committee. It's still the same people in the committee, just a position elevated. So we personally, I'm looking forward to what will happen, what advisors will come on board, what businesses will come from this agri part that has touched the president.
All right, so you've, like we spoke earlier, and you expressed a little bit of excitement at the new appointment. That's Dr. Doyin's appointment. What do you predict for his performance in office?
Look, Dr. Doyin is somebody we are interested in, given that he's been in the Lagos Business School, and don't forget, Lagos is the center of excellence. So what more could we say about that? Is excellence in itself. So he's done a lot of work, not just a lot of work in the classroom, and also have a running business. So when someone has a running business and teaches such business, where you're merging informal businesses as well as formal business to teach your student, and you're participating, that leaves a whole lot for me personally, knowing that there's a lot of advice that will come from there, a lot of collaborations, stakeholders engagements. So Dr. Doyin has done this in the past. He has a business running, he's advising the president, and currently he has a bigger platform. He has the president's ear. And so we just look forward to what's going to happen. And I'm excited really for every other person, his students as well, and every other informal business he's engaged with.
Well, I did see quite a few of the reactions. You know, with these type of cases, you do need to gauge reactions of the people and get to hear what they're saying. So I did, go through social media and see a lot of, what their comments on his new appointment. And quite a few people were actually, excited about the appointment. But then there was a factor or, a certain area of worry. But before we get into that, Mr. Wilson, let me ask you. Now, obviously, he's excited. You say, people come out and they say, oh, he has this background. He's an economist. He has all these ideas. But it's one thing to have an idea, and it's another thing to implement it. So where is your own stance on this?
You see, I have seen the man's profile. I have listened to him talk. I have seen some of his work. He's quite good. You see, but I don't try to. I'm a realist in the real sense. I try to be realistic. Now, the man will have wonderful ideas, just like he has and I do have. He will also have the ears of the president. But I will tell you one thing. What about the system that will allow these ideas to flourish? Because we have a lot of very good policies that have been proposed in the past. We have a lot of good strategies that the government from time to time have tried to push out there. But you see, we have a system of government that is divided into 3 tiers. We have the federal, we have the state, and we have the local government. All of them have different functions to play in bringing every good policy and strategy to bear. Now, we want to ask ourselves, no matter how well the federal does, if the state governors are not buying into it, we are not likely to go far. Nobody is likely to see the impact. And then, you see, we have not focused on fixing the state governance. Now, the local government are even out of the question. And we are talking about agriculture, for instance, that you mentioned. Everything boils on land when it comes to agriculture. And who is the custodian of land in Nigeria? The governors. So if they are not interested in an agricultural project, give them the money, push the resources, they will never do one thing about it. And then you can't skip them. Once you try to skip them, there's going to be a lot of issues. People will be fired, this will be that. And so that is why I'm not very excited. It's not because I don't believe in the man. I believe in the man. But I am skeptical about our system. And I am skeptical about our people. Because maybe it's because of little or misinformation. We don't know who to hold responsible for what. Sometimes when we should actually be putting pressure on our governors, we are putting it on the president. When we should be putting pressure on the judiciary, we are putting it on the president. And we know that our system of government is separated into 3 different arms. You have the parliamentary, you have the judiciary, and you have the executive. Each of them have a job to do. And all of them have to be doing their job at the very best, at all time, for the system to work, as much as they are doing it at the federal, at the state, and at the local government. But is that happening? It's just like you have clean water, but dirty pipe. You run the water through the pipe.
It still come out dirty.
It still comes out dirty. That is why I am a bit conservative. Because I know the man will come out with great ideas, but will he flow?
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at some of the reactions from Nigerians out there. We're not going to read them out, but we are going to run them across the screen so you can take a look at them. Now, some of the reactions that, people had and throughout on social media was their worry that the president wouldn't even listen to some of the, the advice and some of the comments or policies that could, be suggested by Dr. Doyin Salami. Now, do you think that this is something that Nigerians should actually really be worried about?
Well, so the president has gotten for himself an economic advisor. It's for a reason. I believe the president wants to succeed. The president realized that the economy has to change. Things have to happen. So Nigerians being skeptical about it. It's normal. It's in human nature to want to second guess or doubt a process or put a thought to why this will happen. Will it happen or not? So, but I think we should give it time. The president is always singing it currently. It's time in the office. He has 17 months to go. Give him that space. Let's allow for that. Let's allow for the advisor to do their work. Let's see if he takes it. It's up to the presidency and the president himself to take the advice of the people who has put in charge of this. But most especially for me, I simply know that outside of all of this, outside the intrigues of politics, all of the what happened in the presidency, businesses and the economy on an informal end, amongst all of these advisors and all of that will get some shape. Will get some shape that is favorable to the economy.
All right. So a lot of reactions did also, talk about the timing. The amount of time that Dr. Doyin Salami will have to actually make a difference. We had one particular reaction that said, why wait till the 11th hour? We had somebody else come out and say, oh, what happens if the president eventually rejects a particular policy because of time, because of a shortage of time? Now, do you feel that this is something that could actually happen, in the long run?
You see, first of all, there's a popular saying that the best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. The next best time is now. So it's better late than never. And then we have to also understand that in a sane society, governance is a continuum. So it doesn't mean that necessarily the next president after Muhammadu Buhari should sack Dr. Doyin. And the person is also not duty-bound to keep him. I think there was a former Minister of Agriculture who is now the President of African Development Bank. He left a lot of policies and good framework on ground in the Ministry of Agriculture. And when Aldogwe came in, he picked some of those things and ran with it. And I think the minister that was just sacked some months ago also picked some. So the policies are there. So we should not have fear that if Dr. Doyin puts things on ground, the next president may not take him or take the idea. Look at the rail project that is being done today. We heard one of the former presidents said he drew them. But Buhari is building them. He didn't throw them away. Kaduna Rail was stopped somewhere. He picked it up, finished them. Most of the ports and the airport and the rest that is completing, they were started some times ago. There is a 700 megawatt power project that is just completed somewhere. It has been on for a long time. So government is a continuum. We shouldn't have the fear that Dr. Salami will come up with wonderful ideas now and they will just push it aside. Let's hope that we have a better person to take over from the president. And any good person will recognize good ideas and they will take it and work with it. It is only when you are mediocre that you will be thinking that, oh, if the idea does not originate from me, then I won't gain credit for it. It's a mediocre that thinks like that. People who are visionary, they pick anything that makes them get to where they need to get to. So we shouldn't have that problem. And the issue of whether the president will listen to him or not, if the president doesn't like him, he's not duty bound to hire him, or elevate him. I'm sure he has seen that maybe the committee takes some procedure and it wastes time and all of that. Say, okay, let me bring you closer. You are my advisor. You can talk to me directly now. Yeah. And I also don't think that Dr. Salami needs so much time to come up with policies and strategies because he's a Nigerian. He has been around. I mean, this is a doctorate degree graduate from 1989. So he has been a doctorate degree holder in economics since 1989. He has witnessed a lot of government after his PhD. So I know he has a lot. It's just like today now you are telling me, Mr. Wilson, oh, I am appointing you to come and advise me on how we can grow the SME sector in Nigeria. And then I'm telling you I need 2 years to come up with something. As we are seated here now, I have ideas. I mean, that is how it works. If you have them, it wakes you up in the middle of the night. You don't sit down to plan for the idea. The idea will knock your head, pop, 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 wake up. And you have them and you document them. So I guarantee you, Dr. Salami have a lot in his box to dig shaft already, so we shouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, but then this still comes back to the same question I asked you earlier on. It's one thing to have an idea. It's one thing for you to think about how the whole system can function or, you know, how things are supposed to be, but then the implementation of those ideas is another question. You know, it's another, you know, different area completely. And as we've seen time and time without number, there are usually hurdles that needs to actually be passed. You know, he can't just sit down and say, okay, this is the policy that I want by himself and put it out there. There is a process he must follow. And if there are certain challenges that he faces, how does he now move forward?
Now, generally, in every government, you have different sectors that must be duly considered. So he can have economic policy. But before it goes through, you have to consider the security implication. You have to consider our bilateral agreements with other nations of the world upon whom we depend for certain things we don't produce. In fact, we don't even produce so much right now. We import everything. I am praying and hoping for the days we'll begin to build our military hardwares and nobody has to tell us what we need to use to fight what. And we can produce them ourselves. So all those things will be considered. Now, what are the other areas that makes the government work? You want to consider every component to make sure that one policy does not scrap another component. So that as you are fixing one problem, you are creating three more problems. So you always have to weigh. So that will happen, right? And because he is an advisor to the president, he will not be privy to certain information that the president has. So whenever he brings a policy, the president will now sit down, plug it into everything he has and see if it fits. If he doesn't, he can call him and say, I want you to change X, Y, Z. No reason given. He will go and change it and bring it. That's the way it works. He will not know all the information. There will be security consideration, there's international bilateral agreement consideration, there's the local politics, there's even the religious and the traditional issues. All of these things, he has to put it in place because you need peace to grow. So sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things to gain this peace. You have to allow injustice to exist for justice to exist. You have to allow unfair situation to go by. Basically, just for fairness
every single
to come.
Person is going to
exactly. So you are always looking at the vast majority.
Yes.
The good of the greater good. You're always looking at that. So that's going to happen. And it's normal. It's not something we should have fears for. All right. So he's going to do well. And I believe the president is going to listen to him. And I believe that our nation is going to be good for it.
All right, John.
Well, interestingly, right, why are we not considering this as a New Year gift from the president to Nigerians on the business, on the business end? I'm interested in the business end of things.
He's really happy about this.
Yeah, I am happy because, I'm happy because...
We are all happy.
I'm a bias. I'm coming from an analytical background as well. So Dr. Salami is an analyst, creates a lot of economic models. So the models, I believe, just like you mentioned, Wilson, economic models that span a longer time, that span from all the administrations and all of that. So the models will keep improving, the analytics will go right, other factors will come in. So I'm excited about this. I know I look at the business end of things, and I know that the president will give Dr. Salami a lot of support to do this. And don't forget, the bulk of the decision, Dr. Salami is playing at the background as an advisor, really. But because we understand that the president would listen. He has appointed for himself an advisor. So we want to see what will happen. But we know that this will come from a lot of place for innovations will happen. A meeting point for informal businesses and formal businesses, and also formalizing the informal businesses, which is part of the courses that happen all the time in business schools where he's come from. So usually it's now you're telling the coach.
Yes.
The coach has always been a coach. The coach is now going to become a player.
Yes.
You can see what you're going to get.
Let's see how well he plays. I mean,
yeah, let's see how much he plays.
That's what we're going to be looking at.
You see, we also have to be realistic.
Yes.
That is why I say I don't want to get myself too excited. We need to be realistic, and I'm saying this to all Nigerians. Good policies takes time to trickle down. So you won't see that, oh, because Dr. Salami has been appointed, tomorrow you will not see multiple taxation on micro and small small and medium enterprises again. You'll still see those things. It will take time before it trickles down. So we should always give it time. It's just like saying that a woman who takes in, because she takes in today, you want to see your baby tomorrow. It takes 9 months. So everything has its gestation period. We should learn to give it and to also lend our support within that time. Because we are very important to the process and in the process. We are very important. It is important for us to understand what is happening, support it, and contribute to it so that it will eventually materialize for us. So we need to be realistic. And as we move into election year, we should also begin to, the change should begin with us. We should begin to look for people who can actually do things for the interests of the masses. And we should begin to, we are part of the political process. If we don't get involved and get the right people in the right places, these policies will never get to us.
All right, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to continue on this discussion. I would have loved to take a look at the 10-point agenda that was given to the chief economic advisor. That's basically what his, the expectations of him are. But unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get into that. But, 17 months to go. It's
do it another time.
It's 17 months to go. Let's hope that something really good actually comes out of those 17 months and that he can actually make an actual impact. Given that, he has such a short amount of time, let's hope that he has the environment that he needs also to make that impact on the Nigerian society. All right, so we've come to the end of our show for today, and I would like to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson, and thank you so much, Mr. John Bosco, for being a part of the show. And to you, our viewer, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. All you need to do is look up Trust TV News. Well, once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. Come back again for more Business Daily. Let's talk numbers.